Innocent until proven guilty. Innocent until you become a target. Innocent until you look suspicious. Guilty until proven innocent. Guilty until police brutality ends. Guilty until justice is served. Until.
Hello everyone, and welcome to this virtual opening celebration of Nick Cave Until. I'm Lieven Bertels, Director of the Momentary. Before we begin, I want to take this opportunity to state our land acknowledgement. At the Momentary and Crystal Bridges, we recognize our roles as settlers and guests in the Northwest Arkansas region. We acknowledge the Caddo, Quapaw, and Osage, as well as the many other indigenous caretakers of this land and water. We appreciate the enduring influence of the vibrant, diverse, and contemporary cultures of indigenous peoples. We're conscious of the role in colonization that museums have played. As cultural institutions, we have a responsibility to engage the dismantling of historical and systemic invisibility of indigenous peoples, both past, present, and future. We chose to intentionally hold ourselves accountable to appropriate conversation, representation, connection, and education to facilitate a space of measurable change. Welcome again to this virtual opening of Nick Cave Until. We're very fortunate to have some special virtual guests joining us to share this powerful project, including the artist himself, Nick Cave, who will join us for a walkthrough of the exhibition. When we decided to open our doors in February, none of us could have predicted that this is how our first year would look. Yet aptly, this is exactly what we were meant to be, a purveyor of the present, offering an artistic reflection of the current moment, the Momentary. This exhibition is the largest and most ambitious project yet from Nick, and we couldn't be more thrilled for the Momentary to be a co-producer of the exhibition. It's clear that our work to eradicate racism and injustice requires long-term systemic change. As a young institution, we are committed to creating meaningful efforts to change our community. Black Life Matters and Black Art Matters too. Using our unique position as a contemporary art space, we continue to support Black artists and their work. We will also continue to offer art as a platform for important and difficult conversations about racism in America and current events. And Until does that beautifully. This exhibition offers a space for thought and reflection, allowing us to consider racism and violence, particularly gun violence in America, and to think about where we are today and what the future may look like. We are grateful we can share this project with you here and now. I'd like to take this moment to thank a few people, beginning with our Director of Artist Initiatives and Curator of Contemporary Art, Lauren Haynes, along with her team for organizing this exhibition for our space. I'd also like to extend the same thanks to all of our teams here at the Momentary and Crystal Bridges, who have played a tremendous role in bringing this exhibition to life. All the way from MASS MoCA in North Adams, Massachusetts, Denise Markonish, Senior Curator and Director of Exhibitions, is joining us here today. The exhibition was organized by MASS MoCA and co-produced with Carriageworks, Sydney, Australia, and the Momentary's parent institution, Crystal Bridges Museum of American Art. A big thanks to all involved. And thank you to our community, our members, our founding funders, and all our sponsors for this exhibition. We could not have brought this powerful work to the Momentary without your support. And now I'd like to introduce the Momentary's founding chairperson, Olivia Walton.
Hi everyone, I'm Olivia Walton, and I want to thank you for joining us to celebrate this highly anticipated moment for the Momentary. I'm really thrilled to be here at the opening of Nick Cave's timely exhibition, Until. Now, when we opened the Momentary just back in February, of course, none of us knew what 2020 had in store. But thanks to our incredible team, we are now able to virtually introduce you to Nick's work. Many of you may be familiar with Nick's famous sound suits, which are these ornate full-body costumes that are designed to sort of rattle and resonate with the movement of the wearer. But if you think you know Nick's work, think again. In this exhibition, Until, Nick takes us deep into the belly of one of those sound suits, sparking discussion about important issues in a space that is at once dazzling, provocative, and ultimately overwhelmingly optimistic. Nick believes in humanity in celebrating possibility, and also in creating space for critical dialogue. Now more than ever is a time for us to come together as a community to engage in conversation and to try to create real change. We opened the Momentary to serve as a gathering place for our community, offering opportunities to do just this, to engage in meaningful ways through contemporary visual, performing, and culinary arts. So please join us here at the Momentary, either in person or online. And again, thank you, Nick, for bringing us together. Lastly, I'd just like to thank our incredible teams here at the Momentary, over at Crystal Bridges, and at MASS MoCA for making this exhibition possible. Thank you to our community, our members, our founding funders, and the sponsors of this exhibition. I echo Lehman in saying we could not have done this without each and every one of you. Again, thank you.
So we're walking through until where we're in right now is the sort of immersive spinning forest, which is made up of wind spinners that are just really sort of what we see in our sort of backyards. But the amazing thing about this sort of group of spinners is that you will find that some are made of, imagery is made of bullets, teardrops, guns, that's sort of mixed within this array of store-bought spinners. The idea is that it's sort of this sort of illusion, this sort of image of something other, this sort of otherly sort of world, but yet it's disrupted by these very harsh forms and images that we are sort of confronted with in our day-to-day existence, and particularly for me as a Black male. And so I'm sort of torn between beauty, and yet I'm sort of confused with what I'm sort of encountering. This sort of magical, this sort of fantastical sort of outburst, and yet I'm sort of burdened with this sort of dark side, this sort of sorrow, this sort of pain, this sort of imagery that I'm finding that we are experiencing in our own sort of backyards. We think that we can turn our backs to it, but in reality, we cannot. And so Until is very much about that. It's about this whole notion of guilty until proven innocent, or innocent until proven guilty. Here behind me is this installation titled Swallow. And it really is sort of looking at, for me, it's sort of looking into, it becomes this sort of vessel, this sort of space where it's sort of the body sort of moves up through as this sort of, through this sort of passage. It's a new sort of way of thinking about the beaded tarps. The original beaded tarps really sort of came about thinking about these sort of camouflage, these sort of ways of, you know, how we sort of feel in trapped and sort of contained and sort of concealed, confined within space. And so it really is sort of coming out of that sort of narrative, all sort of constructed of pony beads. And so within these tarps, you'll find that it may be a landscape of rocks, or it could be camouflage, or it could be graffiti that's being sort of applied through the way in which the imagery is sort of built within the beaded structures. But it also sort of mimics the sort of central sort of core piece of the exhibition. Where we're at right now is, you know, I'm sort of standing underneath the crystal cloudscape, you know, with this Michael Brown incident that sort of transpired. I was sitting there and I was thinking, is there racism in heaven? And so that was the catalyst that sort of brought me to this place, this sort of galactica of sorts. It's sort of this object that tends to sort of be sort of hovering within this sort of vast piece of architecture. And as you look up, you'll find that you will see the sort of interior made up of Afghans that are sort of pieced together as one would sort of look at property or landscape. And it's sort of interesting, it's this sort of high art sort of merged with this low art sort of sensibilities, but I'm very interested in the dualities of the nature of these two sort of forms. And then as you sort of move around and about the piece, you'll find that you've got these four sort of ladder structures that allows you to sort of move up, walk up, and be into this typographical landscape. And living within the landscape are a sort of collection of lawn jockeys, iron lawn jockeys that I've collected all over the country. And as you travel up, you'll find that, you know, you come into this sort of amazing, sort of vast sort of array of lush sort of garden, sort of fantastical sort of landscape filled with birds, and then other sort of found and interesting sort of objects. In the installation Flow Blow, it's really an extension of my sort of work, I think, as a performance artist, and sort of these sort of things in which I sort of wear in performance. But I wanted to sort of create this sort of very formal sort of architectural sort of object that sort of stands within space. And so Flow Blow is really sort of, after coming through until the exhibition and the experience, it's really sort of a cleansing moment, a moment to sort of shed that experience. And so this actually is a kinetic piece, so it flows and blows as if it's a waterfall of sorts. And so it's really sort of about that. It's really about performance. It's about, again, providing this sort of removal, this sort of alternative sort of shedding of an experience from the Until sort of installation. And so I'm standing in front of Unarmed. And it really, for me, is the sort of, it is the sort of sculpture, it is the sort of monument that has been created for all of those unarmed black men that have been shot brutally by police. And so you'll find that the hand is in the position as if, you know, if I was holding a handgun. And so that is the gesture of the actual sort of hand itself. And so it's me sort of, again, sort of creating this sort of wreath that sort of really is paying sort of homage. And so for the viewers that come and experience Until, you know, it's very sort of, it's a heavy show. It's a lot to sort of take in. It's a lot to sort of reflect on. It's a lot of sort of emotion that I think is tied into the exhibition, and it's really sort of unfortunate that it's prevalent again yet right now. I'm not sure what each and every individual will take away from their experience here, but I am grateful to be here and to be able to bring it to any and every city to help sort of continue the conversation around gun violence, around inequality, And so I hope that it's an exhibition that forces you to sort of reflect, to think, to invite others to be a part of, and to change the way in which we sort of see ourselves in the world.
Thank you, Levin and Olivia, and to all the Momentary and Crystal Bridges staff who have worked diligently to bring Nick Cave's Until to Bentonville at a time when the world needs this urgent work more than ever. 7 years ago, I invited Nick to dream big, and he did not disappoint. With this work, he asks us, is there racism in heaven? And now, this work and this question have traveled the globe, from MASS MoCA in North Adams to Carriageworks in Sydney and Tramway in Glasgow. At each venue, staff, visitors, and performers have engaged with Until, sharing both tears and joy. Having this work continue in Bentonville is an extreme honor. MASS MoCA could not have found a better partner than in the Momentary. Thank you to Lauren Haynes, Kevin Haney, Anna Engels, Pia Agrawal, Carson Keith, and so many more for all your hard work. And also to the MASS MoCA installers who made the clouds sparkle again. Thank you to Megan, Tavish, and Peter. From the bottom of my heart, I also thank Nick and Bob for your vision, for your friendship, and just for this incredible work. You change the world with what you do, and I'm honored to be part of that with you 125%. When Until opened at MASS MoCA in 2016, I read this passage by June Jordan at our opening dinner, and it seems even more apt today. She writes, "Anytime you decide to take on a mountain, you just better take good care. It's not about running out of the house. It's not about come as you are. It's not about breaking down that mighty, miraculous fact of the earth into little pieces or clumps of dirt that you feel you can comfortably deal with. Anytime you decide to take on a mountain, the irreducible is that you're taking on something mysterious, something huge, something more enormous than you can ever hope to hold between your hands or even between your ears. First and last, the point is the mountain as a mountain. And you would be well advised to ascertain the indisputable height and the full, the awesome girth of that great rising up before you begin your serious approach. You would be well advised to notice the invitation of its physical entirety to the sun, the complexity of the flowers and foliage at its base, the frozen purity of the snow that tops its pinnacle. You would be foolish not to calculate the absolute difference between your own small stature, your own limiting frailties, and the implacable, the humbling dimension of the mountain before you make a move. Until is that mountain. And Nick and Bob and everyone at the Momentary and MASS MoCA and Carriageworks and Tramway, thank you for allowing us to scale this together.
Hello, I'm Lauren Haynes, Director of Artist Initiatives and Curator of Contemporary Art at the Momentary and Crystal Bridges. Thank you, Olivia, Levin, Denise, and Nick for participating in our celebration. And thank you, everyone at home, again, for joining us in celebrating the opening of the Momentary's newest exhibition, Nick Cave Until. I hope you have the opportunity to experience this powerful, immersive exhibition in person before it closes on January 3rd, 2021. You'll get to explore a path through a forest of wind spinners, view a crystal cloud from various heights, and much more. And during this time, we hope you'll find moments for reflection, contemplation, and understanding. Until is meant to be a space for difficult conversations. Please embrace that. If you are able to join us, know we have increased safety measures to make in-person experiences at the Momentary as safe as possible. More information can be found on our website at themomentary.org.